Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. In the previous class, we were discussing about the law-making power of the government. How does the parliament makes laws? Okay, and in this context, we have seen the different types of bill. And what is a bill? Bill is a draft of the proposed law, and there are these are the various types of bill, and we have discussed all these things, and today we will discuss the process of lawmaking. And when we were discussing the comparative study, when we were doing the comparative study of the powers of the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, we have discussed this law making process. But now today we will discuss it. I will discuss it in a detailed manner. Okay, so what we see that law making is the first important function of the parliament, and the parliament has to follow a definite process, a definite procedure for the lawmaking. Okay, and this procedure of lawmaking is mentioned in the constitution, and some practices have evolved also. The main procedure has been mentioned in the constitution, but many new conventions has been developed regarding this function. And what we see that there is a development of a committee system in the house where the bill has been introduced. So first of all, we will see how what is done before a bill is introduced in the parliament. First of all, we see that there is a lot of debate on the need for introducing a bill. Why there is need of a new bill regarding any matter. So there will be discussion on this. Okay. So what happens many times? A particular political party is in favor of a particular bill, and it is mentioned in its manifesto that it will work it will work for the enactment of the bill, and that is the reason that that political party uh, pressurize the government to initiate that particular bill. And because if the government uh, starts the bill and the bill is passed by both the houses of the parliament and it becomes an act, then what will be the consequence? The consequence will be that people will become in favor of that political party. So the political party which has some bill in its manifesto puts pressure on the government to initiate that particular bill. And what we see that other than political parties, there are many interest groups. You must be knowing the meaning of interest groups. I am telling you what is interest group. Interest groups are those groups which work for the protection and promotion of the interest of a particular group of people. For example, there is teachers association. For example, there is doctors association. These are interest groups because these groups are concerned only. Suppose teachers association is there, that group is interest group because that group is concerned only with the interest of the teachers, and the function of the group is to promote and protect the interest of the teacher. And these interest groups has nothing to do with the election. They never contest the election. So interest groups put a lot of pressure on the government in order to initiate any bill which will improve the interest, improve the situation of the particular group which they are representing. So there is pressure from interest group. Then there is pressure from media also. Media also highlight the problems of the society or our legal system, whatever loopholes is there in our legal system. In our economy, there may be some problem. In any sphere of life, there may be need of the bill, and this need can be this need can be represented. This need can be represented by political party or interest groups or media, or citizens forums are also there. So many like-minded people make their organization, and they persuade the government for a particular legislation. So we can see that before the initiation of a bill, before the introduction of the bill in any house of the parliament, first of all, what is the need? The need is to first of all, before the introduction of the bill in any house of the parliament, the need is created. The need of the bill is created by the political party or the interest groups or the media or the citizens forum. These are the various groups which represent the interest of particular section of the society, and in this way they put pressure on the government to start any legislation. So we may say that lawmaking is not merely a legal procedure. It's not that only we have to follow some legal process in order to make a law, but it's a political course of action. It's a political action, because lawmaking is related to our social life, economic life, political life, cultural life, and in this way, it is a political course of action. There are many organizations who put pressure on the government to start a legislation, and many times the government start any bill on its own initiative also. Suppose any political party which has promised something to the people, and it was in its manifesto that if it comes to power, it will bring a new law regarding any matter. Then what happened if that party becomes the ruling party? If that party wins the election, then that party will the ruling party will introduce the bill in any house of the parliament. So, the preparation of a bill involves many things. It's not that only legal process is required, but it requires so many things. So suppose if we law making is done, we have made the law, the parliament has done its duty, but we are not we don't have the resources to implement the law. Then what will be the utility of making the law? Then the support or opposition that the bill is likely to produce, there may be the bill may cause a high level of opposition. Recently, we have experienced this opposition when that Citizenship Amendment Bill, which became an act, CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act, was passed by the Parliament. There was large scale opposition from all parts of the country, and it seemed that the government has to roll back the law. ऐसा लग रहा था कि ऐसी सिचुएशन ना आ जाए कि गवर्नमेंट को इस लॉ को वापस लेना पड़ जाए, बिकॉज देर वॉज सो मच opposition all over the country. So, the government has to take into consideration all these things. It's not only that the government has to follow the process, it has only to get the support of the majority. No, it has to take into consideration everything. The impact that the law may have on the electoral prospect of the ruling party. It may also that happen that because of any law, what happens is that people became very dissatisfied with the law. The law was not according to the desire of the people. Then again, we will give that. I will give the example of that CAA. Because of CAA, the people became so much so against BJP that uh, it may have an impact on the electoral prospect of the BJP. It may have the possibility of losing the election, next election. So, all these things need to be taken into consideration. And now we see that in the era of coalition politics, a bill, the government has to has to persuade all the constituent units of the coalition government to support that law, because coalition government is not a single party government. There are more than one party is there. So ruling party is not holding uh, so much authority, and the ruling party, whichever single largest party, whatever is the single largest party is the wants to have its say, but it can't go alone. It has to persuade its constituent units to accept that law, to support that bill in the house. So the cabinet has to consider all these things. Okay, all these matters are taken into consideration by the cabinet. And once everything is clear, everything is now decided by the cabinet. Now the what happens that the drafting starts. Drafting of the act starts, and this is called bill. Okay, the draft of bill is prepared by the concerned ministry. The bill is related to whatever subject. According to that subject, the bill is prepared. The draft of the bill is prepared by the concerned ministry. If there is some legal matter is involved in a bill, suppose the government is going to increase the marriageable age for girls. Previously, it is presently it is 18, and if the government wants to increase it to 21, then what will happen? The it is a legal matter. Okay, so because of it's a legal matter, the draft of the bill will be prepared by the law ministry. And besides being a legal matter, it is also a matter which is concerned with the women and child welfare also. So, the Department of Women and Child Welfare will also um, can also be involved. So, both these ministry, Law Ministry and Ministry of Women and Child Welfare, will draft the bill. Okay. So, after the drafting of the bill, now the bill is to be introduced. Okay. So, these are the stages we can say. The first thing is an environment is to be created. The government has to be pressurized to initiate any bill, or the government can start any bill, can think of starting the bill because of its promise in the manifesto. And when the government wants to bring a new law then it has to think of so many things like how to implement it, and which section of the society is going to oppose it, what will be the scale of opposition, then what resources are required. All these things are decided. Now, after this, the task of drafting the legislation begins. Okay, the task of drafting the legislation begins. And who prepares the draft of the bill? Draft of the bill is prepared by the concerned ministry. And after this drafting, now the next stage is the introduction of the bill. Now this bill can be introduced in any house of the Lok Sabha if it is a non-money bill, either in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha. But if it is a money bill, it can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. This is also important. A bill may be introduced in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha by a member of the House. Any member of the House can introduce a bill. But, but often what happens, it is the practice of our democratic government that a minister who is responsible for that subject, only he introduces the bill. Okay, so though any member of the house can present the bill, can introduce the bill, but often a minister who is concerned with that subject, who is responsible for that subject, introduces the bill. Okay, and a money bill can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. And then when it is passed in the Lok Sabha, it reaches the Rajya Sabha. Now we will see after the introduction of the bill what happens. There is discussion on the bills, and for these discussions, committees are formed. Okay, we have committee system in the parliament. The committees are formed for the purpose of discussion and debate. And the committee, after discussing the bill, it recommend some changes in the bill. It may recommend any changes in the bill, and whatever its recommendation, it is then sent to the whole house. Committees, what is committee? Committee is just group of MPs. Suppose 15 members, 20 members committee is made, and these 15 to 20 members are the members of the that house only. तो एक अलग से एक छोटा सा ग्रुप बन जाता है, बिकॉज द हाउस इज सो बिग. 543 members are there in the Lok Sabha. So if the bill will be discussed with the whole house, then there will be chaos, and it cannot be discussed in a proper manner. So in order to make the discussion fruitful, and all the aspect of the bill, all the loopholes, and all the positive points of the bill can be discussed in a detailed manner. For that purpose, a committee system has been evolved, and committee discuss the bill, and then it make some recommendations, and then these recommendation is sent to the whole house. Okay, and this is the reason why committees are referred to as miniature legislature. Committees are miniature legislatures. Okay, this is the second stage. First stage was introduction of the bill. Second stage is committee को दे दिया गया. Okay, and now third stage comes, which is the final stage. What is the third and the final stage? जब कमेटी रिकमेंडेशन दे देती है तो फिर से हाउस उस पर डिस्कशन करती है, एंड आफ्टर द डिस्कशन द बिल इज voted upon. Okay, and if it's a non-money bill and it is passed by the majority of the house. Majority means simple majority. And what is simple majority? one more than half. मतलब वॉट एवर इज द टोटल मेंबरशिप उसका हाफ कर दीजिए, देन उसमें वन ऐड कर दीजिए, दैट इज सिंपल मेजोरिटी. तो द नॉन मनी बिल इज passed by one house by simple majority, then it is sent to the other house. Okay, and when it is sent to the other house, in the other house also all these stages are followed. Then in the second house also the committees will be set up, and the bill will go to those committees, and their discussion will be done, and then the committee will recommend some suggestions, and then the house will discuss, and then it will be voted upon. Okay, and we are talking about non-money bill. It's a non-money bill. Okay, so a bill needs to be passed by both the houses if it has to be an act. Okay, so what happens, suppose there is a disagreement. uh, the bill has been passed from one house, and when it reaches second house, in the other house, it has suggested some changes in the bill, but the first house is not ready to accept those changes. So, this is the condition of disagreement. And when this disagreement is there on the proposed bill, then what is done? Attempt is made to resolve it through joint session of the parliament. पार्लियामेंट का joint session होता है, जो कि मैंने कल भी आपको बताया था कि जो भी डेडलॉक हो जा रहा है between the two houses, in order to solve that deadlock, resolve that deadlock, joint session is conducted. And in joint session, both the houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, members of both the houses will be there, and the decision will be taken according to the majority of the simple majority of the total membership. So generally what happens that the decision has always gone in favor of the Lok Sabha, क्योंकि लोक सभा के number of members is more than almost not, it's more than double of the Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, there is 245 members, and in Lok Sabha, there is 543 members. So we can see that the total membership of Lok Sabha is more than double of the Rajya Sabha. तो क्या होता है कि mostly joint session में लोक सभा का ही चलता है. Okay, so now we will come to this point that if the bill which was introduced by uh, the minister, it's a money bill, then in that case what will happen, that this money bill can be introduced only in the Lok Sabha, and the Lok Sabha again will constitute a committee, and committee will discuss the matter, committee will give recommendations, then the house will discuss those recommendations, and then the voting will be done. And suppose the bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, then it reaches the Rajya Sabha, and Rajya Sabha can maximum delay it for 14 days. Other than that, Rajya Sabha is not cannot do anything. And if it takes no action within 14 days, the bill is deemed to have been passed. Okay. And whatever amendment has been suggested by the Rajya Sabha, that may be accepted by the Lok Sabha and may not be accepted by the Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha is not under any kind of compulsion to accept the recommendations of the Rajya Sabha in the in the money bill matter. Okay, so it is given in our article 109. This is important to memorize. Article 109, in which a special procedure is given in respect of money bill. Okay. And now, when a bill is passed by both the houses of the parliament, then it is sent to the president. We have discussed about it in the previous chapter, executive. It is sent to the president, and the assent of the president results in the enactment of bill into law. And when the president, it is sent to the president has some options. Either he can sign the bill, then it will become an act, or he can send back the bill to the house from which it came to the president. It can send with some recommendations, or it can outrightly reject the bill. Then what happen? If the house again sends the bill in the by changing it or without changing it, the president is bound to sign the bill, isn't it? And the third option is also there, which is called pocket veto. The president will neither accept the bill, neither sign the bill, he will neither reject the bill, he will neither send it back with any recommendation, but he will simply uh, put it in its pocket and forget about it. So this is called pocket veto. It's a kind of veto which can be used by the president. Okay. Now we have discussed this point also, but that was in short, that the parliament controls the executive. Now we will see how does the parliament control the executive in a detailed manner. Okay, so we know that in a parliamentary form of government, it is the most important feature of parliamentary form of government that the cabinet is uh, collectively responsible towards the Lok Sabha, and the executive is drawn from the party or a coalition of parties that has a majority in the Lok Sabha. Because we all know that the Prime Minister is the leader of the majority party, or is the leader of the coalition of parties that has majority in the Lok Sabha. So in this way, and then the Prime Minister uh, chooses his council of ministers, appoints his council of not appoint, formal appointment is done by the president, but the list is prepared by the prime minister only, and it is compulsory for all the ministers and prime minister also that they must be the member of any house in the Lok Sabha. If at the time of appointment the prime minister or the ministers are not the member of any house of the parliament, then in that case what happens that their appointment is done, but if they are not the member of any house of the Lok Sabha, then within 6 months from the date of appointment, the minister or the prime minister, as the case may be, has to uh, mm, mm, has to take a seat in the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. Okay, so this is the condition. In this way, we see that the executive is drawn from the majority party in the Lok Sabha, or the coalition of party that has a majority in the Lok Sabha. Okay, and in this situation, what we find that the executive is authorized to exercise unlimited and arbitrary powers. Why? Because the executive has the support of the majority party. And on the because of this support of the majority party, the executive can take any decision, and it can start any bill. It can make any policy. All these things will be supported by the majority in the Lok Sabha, because he has the support of the majority. So in this situation, we see that what we see parliamentary democracy, what we what the type of government which we are describing as parliamentary democracy, actually it becomes cabinet dictatorship, where the cabinet is all in all. it can do anything. It has all the powers because it has the support of the majority of the house, Lok Sabha. And Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, the whole house is only following the cabinet. And we have seen when we were discussing the powers of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, we have seen that Lok Sabha is much more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. And the executive has influence over the Lok Sabha because it has the support of the majority. So in this way, what happens that the parliamentary democracy slips into, may slip, ऐसा हो सकता है, okay, it may slip into cabinet dictatorship where the cabinet leads and the house merely follows. So in this situation, what we see that the parliament has been given the power of exercising control over the executive. So this dictatorship of the cabinet can be checked. It can be checked if the parliament is active and vigilant and it is able to keep regular and effective check on the executive. There are many ways which are described in the constitution in order to control the parliament. And what is important that the legislators are the people's representative, and they are there in the house to represent the interest of the people, to represent the need of the people, to represent the demand of the people. So they must have freedom of speech. They must have freedom, and this is the reason why our parliamentarians have some privileges, which is called parliamentary privilege. It means that no action can be taken against a member for whatever the member may have said in the legislature. The member of the parliament has full freedom to say anything in the house, and on the basis of this, no action can be taken against him or her if he has said, if he or she has said anything objectionable in the legislature. In spite of that, no action can be taken against them, and this is known as parliamentary privilege. ये privilege दिया गया है parliamentarians को so that they can represent the people properly. Okay, and the presiding officer, who is the head of the house in the matter of Lok Sabha, speaker is the head of the house. So he has the final power in deciding matters of breach of privilege. The speaker takes decision in this regard that any particular any particular member has breached the privilege or not breached the privilege. This matter cannot go in the court. It will be decided by the speaker only. And we will discuss about this in the next in the following segment. So here you just understand that the members have some privileges. These privileges has been given to the members so that they can express the interest of the people they are representing, and whatever no action can be taken on this on whatever member is saying in the Lok Sabha, and the presiding officer decides whether a particular member has breached the privilege or not. Okay, so this is the um, um, now we will discuss various instruments which is given to parliament in order to control the executive. So our constitution has mentioned all these, and we will discuss it in the next class.